And shine. It is 8 o'clock on the dot. I'm first warning meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. It is a busy day. Let's get right to it. The top two things that we are watching. First off, threat of strong to severe storms across central Florida, and not just today. We're actually talking about that opportunity tomorrow as well. We will take a look at that for you. Plus, we're going to time out the opportunities to head to the beach. It is summer after all. Certainly people are wanting to do that whole thing. So we got you covered. But before that, let's just look outside and see what's doing. Here's a shot from our Tower Cam network. This is in Lake Dora Tavares. Good morning. It is beautiful. High, thin clouds over top of us. We check in on our first warning live Doppler radar, and there is a little bit of heavy rain showing up across parts of Marion County. Kind of see it sneaking on in there, moving at a fairly quick clip. We check in on our velocities. Not too much wind, anything like that, but some nice heavy rains that are moving on through. And those downpours are going to continue to work off toward the east-northeast. And they're moving at a pretty decent clip at like 25 or so miles an hour. So let me just put a storm track on this. If you live around Marion County, want to make sure you know, all right? We're going to be getting that into Ocala at 8:37, Shady at 8:39, into Bellevue at 9:04, and Lynn at 9:17. So just a little bit of rainfall for us this morning. Temperatures out the door in the 80s. Did hit record levels yesterday in Melbourne. Not really, going all in on records today. Today's bigger threat is going to be thunderstorm action. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But before we do, here's just kind of a look at that 12-hour forecast. Today, 84 9 o'clock, 90 by 11 o'clock, 93 by 1 p.m., and 95 by 3 o'clock. And then we get those rising storm chances. Today's storms are going to be delayed a little bit, but with that said, they're going to have the opportunity to be just a little bit stronger. So let's discuss kind of the overall weather pattern, all right? What's going on? Why is there a threat for some stronger storms? So here's a look at the satellite and radar, and you can kind of see there on the top of the screen, there's an old frontal boundary. It's draped like right up in there. Yeah, that right there. We look at the kind of bigger setup, and it's that energy that's moving in, giving us the opportunity for some stronger storms. That will linger again tomorrow, and then by Wednesday, as it fades, the threat of severe weather will start to drop off. So let's do this, okay? Let's just look at the threat for strong to severe storms, and let's take it day by day. So for today, basically all of our area under that low end level 1 out of 5 risk for strong to severe storms, okay? It's not a huge concern, but there is certainly the threat for strong to severe storms. And when we break down those threats, today's biggest concern is going to be damaging winds. Now, I want you to know, yes, every single day during the summertime, we run the risk of seeing some stronger storms. There's just a little bit of atmospheric energy added today. So there's that, okay? Let's look at tomorrow, because I said that this is going to be a multi-day kind of event. Tomorrow afternoon, all of Central Florida under that level 1 out of 5 risk for strong to severe storms. And tomorrow we'll add in the concern for just a little bit of hail, okay? So not a big deal, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things we have to keep close eyes on, okay? So here's kind of the overall outlook when we kind of put it all together. Today and tomorrow, both days, we have the opportunity for a slightly elevated risk of severe weather, okay? Just a little bit of extra juice in the atmosphere. So we could be running into some stronger storms. I'll be tweeting. I'll be Facebooking. Today I'm doing the noon and 4 o'clock newscasts. So we'll be together doing our thing, tracking it all, okay? That's your first warning. All right? Any questions thus far? Then we'll get into Futurecast. But I just want to make sure we've got a kind of an understanding of what's happening here. All right? Everybody good? We understand. Very good. Okay, to Futurecast we go. All right. So, Futurecast this morning, showing that old front kind of draping in around noon today or just after noon. Then we start popcorning up some shower, storm activity. Boy, this model's doing a terrible job today. Nope. Let's see. I'm just... All right, that... At least that run's doing a little better, bubbling up storms in the metro around 2 o'clock. Let's look at the rapid refresh. All right, so there's the front approaching around 1, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that at least I think has the best kind of idea, even if it's not great. So the idea of stronger storms 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in our area. Yeah, that I think that's the best timeline. So when this happens and models do a terrible job, that's when I get to say to you things like, we went to school for this, and we are only using computer models for guidance, not gospel, right? So that's where we're at, okay? So there's your storm chances today, kind of building it up. Dinner time is the window I think we'll have the opportunity, the best opportunity for shower and storm activity. Yeah. Computer models are guidance, not gospel. That's also why you can't just use an app. That's why you can't just use an app. You know what I mean? Cheryl, hi to my favorite weatherman. Good morning to you, Cheryl. Hope you're having a great morning. I see you got your cup of coffee in your profile picture. Yukon, is there a gospel to weather? Me thinks not. Everything is guidance. I would agree. Listen, everything is guidance. Even the people that are like, it's the only job you can do and get it wrong all the time. And I'm just like, we don't try. You know? But yeah. It's just doing the best we can. Susie, I saw your post, gorgeous family. Thank you. Gorgeous family's going to have indoor afternoon activities, methinks. Yep. Oh, well. All right. So that's where we're at today. Severity could definitely be there. Let's do this. Let's break down the... I don't even know if this is working. We had a computer issue the other day, and I don't know if this... Yeah, this... this may be working. Yeah, okay. But it's not all that aggressive. Okay. That's the lightning. I mean, that... I just think that the models are doing a kind of a horrid job at the moment, if I'm 100% honest with you. I'm just curious if this is... Yeah, the models are just not. The models... Futurecast, GFS, European, the models are just not. They're just not. But for today, I could tell you, given the atmosphere, given the scenario, we're looking at that low-end level 1 out of 5 risk for strong and severe storms, really focusing in on the damaging wind threat. Hail isn't quite there. Flooding, rain, and tornadoes not quite there, thankfully. Though tomorrow we are going to add in just a little bit of hail. Yeah. All right. Weather and theoretical physics are all dynamic. Well, weather is a version of science where we're looking ahead and we're doing the best we can. It's essentially just a public hypothesis. You know? I mean, what science do you go out with a hypothesis every day and people strictly grade you on the hypothesis? You know? Every day. That's what's hard about doing weather. Yeah, the models are not modeling. Coming to Disney this week, what am I looking at? You are looking at a very expensive trip. Oh, you mean the act? Oh, got it. Okay. So here's a look at the 7-day forecast. Shower and storm activity every day. Building heat by later this week. Flirting with records by, the entire stretch, but particularly like Orlando, you'll be within a degree of a record on Saturday. So depending on when you arrive this week, it's going to be toasty. That's okay. What needs to be explained to people about weather are standard deviations and what is allowable. Yeah, like the idea of like what do I critique myself against? For example, like for me, when I do a forecast, I give myself I give myself 3 degrees plus or minus. Well, that's a lot. Sure. But like I can't lose every day and I can't win every day. So I think 3 degrees plus or minus is that's my personal allotment. When I look at the percentages, I'm kind of trying to go for coverage. 50% of us should get stormed on today. Models aren't saying it, but it's just, yeah, I mean, I criticize myself, but I can't beat myself up because here I am every single day trying to do it all over again. Yeah. Yeah. So it's tough. It's definitely tough at times. All right, so that's the 7-day forecast. We've definitely got our opportunities for showers and storms. The other thing, and we had mentioned there's a low-end threat for flooding, but there's still the potential there to get flooding rains on a day like today. So, we just have to watch for all of the threats. But there's going to be some stronger storms around. Speaking of flooding, though, let's talk about, let's see here. Let's talk about up north for a minute, all right? Our flooding threat fairly low, but up north, there's a major ongoing flooding event taking place in upstate New York, but our sister station, WPTZ, is going to be undergoing quite a flood threat today. Flooding expected, flash flooding along and around Lake Champlain from parts of the North Country of New York through Vermont. If you've got friends or family that live in particularly the purple area there, but also the reds, make sure that they are weather aware. This is going to be a big issue. We just, make sure your friends and your family are weather aware up there. It's going to be a bit of a mess. See you, Yukon. Are we still looking at potential hail during today's storms? So, every day during the summertime, that's a potential. But in terms of today, the atmosphere doesn't look as prone to hail. Tomorrow, the atmosphere is going to look a little more of a hail threat. Yeah. All right. Linda, you're already starting to get a little bit of rain up that way now. We pop up our first warning live Doppler radar, and there's some rainfall. Is it strong or severe? No, it's just some good heavy rains moving right into Ocala. And then we'll have another opportunity through the afternoon. All right. Talking about the flooding in upstate, there has been, and I will, give me a minute, and I will try and find this. There has been already yesterday, like a 1 in 200 year flood. Already just yesterday. So that's a problem up that way. And they're going to have more flooding. All right? Any questions, comments, concerns about that? Otherwise, we can start discussing the tropics a little bit. See what's doing, all right? Does that sound good? All right, to the tropics we go, out in the open waters of the Atlantic. Just to give you your situational awareness, the left, the United States, the right, you've got the Azores, and bottom right is, of course, the Canaries, the coast of Africa. Right in the center of your screen, there's an area of low pressure kind of forming. Low-end chance of development. Hurricane Center says there's a 30% chance that tries to get going into something. If it does, it could become a subtropical system, not anticipated to be a threat to us whatsoever. So that is good news, right? In addition to that, I got to tell you, I've been watching this little wave just completely surrounded by Saharan dust. Completely surrounded by Saharan dust. Not doing a ton, but there's a persistence to it. And, could it try? The Hurricane Center has not made mention of it at all. But, could something try to do its thing here? It's possible. Not overly concerned with it, but, there's some inclination. There's some inclination, and here, I will pop this up. Give me a few seconds. So this is the ECENS. This is a version of ensembles. Give me a few seconds. Of course, when I don't have this put together, You have to give me a second when I don't have it put together. All right. So this is kind of an ensemble plot of sorts, okay? And I just want to show you, this is one of the tools that we can kind of use to get ideas. Here, I'll shift this. Yeah, so there you go. So this is one of the tools that we use. But you can kind of see there that area of low pressure that I was telling you about there, right? That little area of low pressure at least has some indication that there may be some life trying to come from this. And you can see top right corner, by the way, is that other one that the Hurricane Center is talking about. So I'm only making mention of this so that you know that like that little area here is something that we also need to watch. Hurricane Center is not making mention of it yet, but we're watching it. Elsewhere, the Atlantic is nice and quiet. Let's just come over here off the coast of Africa. Nice little wave rolling off the coast. We'll have to watch and see what that does. It's the time of year though where we have to start watching things particularly closely. Now, as global models will go, let's take a look. All right. Hit that. Okay. All right. As global models will go. And this is the GFS 6E, so the most recent run of the GFS. We'll just roll through. There you can kind of see the purple shades in the central Atlantic. That's that system that the Hurricane Center is talking about, that they're giving it a 30% chance of development. So GFS does seem to want to develop that. Doing its thing. Nothing else of note, right? Nothing else of note. There's the 17th of July. Nothing else of note. Lots of high pressure. Something around Bermuda, maybe. And then right in here, that's the 25th. That's the 25th right in there near the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos. Is there something there trying to form? There may be something. Nothing major, but there's an indication of something. And that would make sense. Our cycling pattern would dictate that. Let's head over and look at the European, all right? There's that system in the central Atlantic forming. Hurricane Center's monitoring that. A little wave, if you look in the bottom part of the screen, a little wave right near Puerto Rico there around the 18th. Working around something in the central Atlantic. Look at that, around the 22nd, potent wave coming off the coast of Africa. Right? So, there's some things. Where did all the dust go? It's still there. The Saharan dust is absolutely still there. There's a look at the Atlantic basin with all of the dust. And that's a big reason, if I'm honest with you, that's a big reason why this wave here has not bombed out yet, because there's a bunch of Saharan dust out there. So the concern of that doing its thing is pretty low, at least in the near term. And as far as the dust goes, over the next few days' time, watch how it's kind of pouring into Florida. So we've got some around midweek, but look what happens right there. Friday, we get this big injection of dust in our area, and through the weekend, it's going to give us those like gorgeous sunsets, another injection around the 19th. So it's going to give us those kind of wicked looking skies and all of that fun stuff. It'll be interesting to see, right, how that plays out. Okay, let's look at some ensemble products and see what they're trying to throw for low locations. Here we are. All right. So, low locations. All right, see, I'm directing this together. I'm directing and talking, so it means sometimes I have to do some technical stuff. All right, let's back this there we are. All right. So, interestingly enough, trying to do something off the northeast coast, that big flood maker. There's all of those ensemble members coming alive in the central Atlantic. That's that little area of low pressure the Hurricane Center's been monitoring. Right? but no ensemble support of anything else, really. You know, a little here, a little there, nothing crazy. That's the GFS. Let's switch over to the European. All right. Roll through. There's that ensemble support for something in the kind of northern Atlantic. Something there. Right? Nothing else, though. A couple ensemble members in the south, you know, in the main development region. But nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Just a couple of, nothing crazy. So that's fine. For right now, we're still relatively quiet. But there's a lot of Saharan dust. And we also know, you know, when we look at the season as a whole, we know that we're still in a pretty quiet stretch of hurricane season, right? The activity doesn't really get going. I mean, here we are. It's July 10th. We're still in quite a lull. It's not until like late July into August that things really start ramping up. So, not huge concerns of tropical activity. We'll watch. We'll track. Make sure everything's good. Yeah. Debbie says you're fine. Love this nerd stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do too. Brian, on the average, how many inches of rain does a basic level tropical storm have within itself as it's making landfall? Every single one is 100% different. Seriously, you can't narrow it down to like a basic storm has this. How fast is it moving? How long is it developed? How big is it? You know, there's a million variables. So I can't answer that. I apologize. Annie says, love quiet tropics. I do too. But I also know that we're on borrowed time. That's not going to stay that way. All right. Next name on the list is Dawn. Just a reminder, we are running well above average, not only for the season in terms of named storms, but another thing that may be interesting. Let me get this graphic together. I've got a couple of graphics to dig through here. Stand by. Put you there. Put you there. All right. So, give me a few seconds to dial this up. There. Move the map. I freaked the computer out. Oh, boy, I freaked it out. Florida view. There we go. Okay. All right. So I saw some of the academia folks, the academia meteorologists talking about this a little bit yesterday. And I wanted to chat with y'all about it because that's what we do. We always try to chat about interesting things. Now, let me take you to, we'll do this. This is the sea surface temperature graphic, and I wanted to zoom in here. This is the sea surface temperatures. Now, let me explain to you how we get this. It takes into account buoy data. It takes into account all different things. But there are now several buoys in the Keys reading water temperatures in the 90s. Seriously. Okay. It's a small little area, but there is definite bath water there. Even further out, it's 87, 88, 89. I mean, this is a major hot pocket of water. You just hope a tropical system doesn't go over that, right? But it's so above average. I don't know if I can query this or not. I mean, it's like 5 degrees above average. So I just thought it was particularly interesting stuff there. Thankfully, there's nothing developing right now. But listen, as we head into the peak of hurricane season, my concern is we have such hot fuel, just jet fuel. And, I always try to be 100% transparent and honest with you. a lot of the academia type, look, you've got kind of two groups of academia types. The academia types that are sounding crazy alarms on everything they can because it's just the type of person they are. And then you've got the academia types that are like, here's empirical data, let's look at this. Those are the ones that I really like to follow and enjoy reading their papers, etc. And that's where I had first seen this incredible little heat wave of water temperatures. I'm going to be interested to see how this year's El Nino works in terms of wind shear, because if you start really firing up the tropics with true bathwater like that, and you don't have wind shear, I mean, it's going to get bad real quick. So I'm hoping for that El Nino to just kick the snot out of it. But I will tell you, I don't recall ever seeing water temperatures on buoys at 90 degrees. I would also add that I don't have a database, at least not that I'm aware of, where I can go back and look at historic sea surface temperatures. So I don't know that I can go and say to you, this is the hottest it's ever been. I don't know. You'll get the crazy, everything, you know, the people that are always screaming about something. They're going to always find some statistic. But I'll tell you, I don't know that I've ever seen water temperatures that hot. I've tracked weather for 22 years in Central Florida and in South Florida. So I've done it a minute. But it's hot. And I hope that El Nino really fires up some wind shear come peak season. Otherwise, I think there's going to be some trouble. That's where we're at. Just being honest with you, you know. Debbie says that's hot water. Cindy says that's practically boiling, right? It's practically boiling. All right. Do you have a heat index graphic for today? What are we expecting? Yeah, I got you. Let me find it. So anyway, not to like get on a soapbox or anything, but I just want to let you know that's what I'm seeing, and that's not a good one. It's not a good statistic to find ourselves in. You know what I mean? All right, heat index for today, also known as the feels like temperature, 105 by 2 o'clock this afternoon. So it's going to be hot. Had a conversation with a friend over at the National Weather Service just discussing heat advisories. 108 is their border. That's what they go with. Yesterday we had it in our northern spots. Daytona Beach today, your feels like temperatures are going to be up to about 103. Leesburg, your feels like temperature today, 106. Melbourne, your feels like temperature today, 106. Ocala, it was gross yesterday, about 100 today for your feels like temperature. Palm Coast, your feels like temperature is about 103. And Sanford, your feels like temperature is about 106. So it's gross. Confirmed gross. Is that hot water temp something to be scared of? When you say trouble, do you mean big storms? You know, Elizabeth, I would say you've got to think of it like this. Hurricanes feed off of hot water, right? And so because of that, you know, this is a product that we use. Hold on a second. This is a product that we use. Let me just remove that. That's from old graphic. This is a product we use, and essentially, it's heat potential. It's where is there energy for tropical systems to feed off of, right? So the warmer the water temperatures, the more opportunity there is for that heat potential. And so around the Caribbean right now, that is bullseye. Hottest water temperatures. Yeah. Is it something to be scared of? I would say when it comes to the tropics, we should never be scared. We should just be aware. I'm not. I love you, Eric. I love you, Alexander. I love you, Mommy. I would say, you know, I love you. They're going to go for a little walk. I would say we should never be worried. We should just be aware. I'm not running commercials on Coffee Talk. I'm not here to make money. I'm taking time away from my family because it's very important that we're all on the same page. So I wouldn't say to be worried. I would just say, you know, file it in the back of your mind. There's a lot of fuel. And once the Atlantic really fires up, if we don't kick up that El Nino wind shear, there could be some trouble. Yeah, there could be some big storms and kind of rapid intensification type storms. All right. So that's where we're at. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? Time to finish feeding the livestock and have a good time. Have a good fun. Janet, can strong wind shear make a difference if a storm is in that hot water? Not sure if my question makes sense. Yeah, I would say, Janet, wind shear takes its toll on weaker systems. So if a system has already really intensified and it gets in that warm water, it starts changing the wind shear profile around it. So it can, but it's also very dependent. These are big systems. So we'll see. It does make sense, though, Janet. Yeah. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Oh, Linda, love you too. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anything? Our afternoon storms have been wicked the past 2 months over here in where? Worked. What? Sheila, are we predicted to have some strong hurricanes this season? Well, you can get the WESH 2 hurricane season forecast anytime you want it by heading over to wesh.com/hurricane forecast. Here's the updated numbers. I will note, and yes, this is a shameless plug, but I don't care. My WESH 2 numbers unchanged since March the 1st. Colorado State has updated it every month. NOAA put that out, I think, at the end of May. So ours is the oldest. Ours is the steadiest. Everyone else's kind of came around to our thinking. But we're expecting 14 to 18 named storms for the season. We're expecting 7 to 9 hurricanes and 2 to 4 major hurricanes. I would also elevate the idea that it takes one storm to hit you for it to be a bad season. So there's that. John, question, why doesn't the WESH app list the relative humidity and dew point for Orlando? I will tell you, I didn't write the app. Does it not? Stand by. If I hit weather. Yeah, I guess the idea is to try and go super simplistic. Yeah, I guess the idea was just to go super simplistic with it. Apologies. Yeah. Yeah, just their idea is to go, I guess, super simplistic, so my apologies. Tracking the Tropics. It's going to be tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to make the graphics next. Tracking the Tropics tomorrow at 10. Tomorrow at 10. Sheila, easier to ask you. I got you. Should we fish in Steinhatchee tomorrow or Wednesday? Early. Either day is fine, but early. No chance of rain near the Gulf in Ellington. Here's the deal. There's a chance of rain on the Gulf Coast regardless. The further north you are, the better off you are in terms of storm coverage for today, right? But here's your rain coverage map for today to illustrate. Yeah, most of the stuff's going to want to love that west coast. So I would say there's not a no chance of rain anywhere. Yeah. Do you think El Nino will get into Super El Nino 2023? I don't know, Megan. That we'll have to watch and see how that plays out. Yeah. That's one of those things I kind of have to stay in my lane, right? Like, I'm a meteorologist. I can talk all about it, but my area of study is not ENSO. I study it, but I'm not an expert in it. So modeling would lead you to believe that it's going to come in strong, but it's been slower than the model has discussed, and that's a pretty normal thing. But I'm not an El Nino expert. I've studied it. I'm qualified to discuss it, but if you wanted me to really get into the weeds of El Nino and La Nina, really we could have a conversation. But you want me to really muck around in the weeds? I need to do some studying just to get deeper into it. All right. Any chance of hail today? There's a chance, but it's not an elevated thing. It's just your run of the mill. So when we talk about today's threat for strong to severe storms, damaging winds looks to be the main elevated element. Yeah. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anything? Tomorrow we'll have a little colder air upstairs, so we may be talking about a little bit of hail tomorrow. Brian, how long does it have to rain for it so it doesn't become oppressive, muggy, and humid after a rainstorm? It should always become oppressive, muggy after a rainstorm because the rain is throwing you to 100% humidity. Yeah. Jamie, did you ever get lightning rods quoted for your house? We used a local guy, and it cost us $200, and it's a 2-story house. $200? I mean, if it's $200, I'll get it done today. I haven't gotten. Listen. The kids are on summer vacation. The wife's on summer break. I have been 100%. If I'm not at work, I've been 100% into dad mode. Swimming and running around and running around and running around and running around. 100% in dad mode. So I've not had a chance. I've got laundry upstairs that's just sitting begging me to put it away. That's where I'm at. Once everybody goes back to school, and I'm not like begging for it. I'm savoring the flavor, but that's when I'll be able to get back to chores. Right now, I'm just 100% dad mode as much as I can. All right. And climbing walls, Janet. That's right. All right. So we've got some storms around next couple of days. Some of them stronger today, tomorrow, because of an old front. We'll be all right. July calendar showed something in the Gulf west coast of Florida. Are we going to see anything? We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. The pattern favors it. That's a good memory there, Wendy. The pattern favors stuff around Florida the end of July. So we'll be watching. Yeah. Models aren't picking up on anything. Could there be homegrown stuff that just kind of bubbles up and moves through? Sure. We'll watch. We'll see. That's all. I got you all. You know that. That's why I show all the models. Yeah. All right. That's it. It's 8:39. Some of us have to go to work. I'm doing the noon and 4 o'clock newscasts today, people. So I will see you there. And so 12 o'clock on Wesh, 4 o'clock on Wesh, 3:30 on the Facebook. I'm sure there's something else. And then tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Coffee Talk, 10 a.m. Tracking the Tropics. Sound good? Sound good. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. I will see you at noon on Wesh 2. Take care, y'all. Bye.